Well, look who's here. Tim Tarantello.
Here I am, in person.
Managing Director of OC3.
Good morning. Good morning.
You got the same haircut Victor has.
Yeah, pretty close.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
How about that metal music coming in?
I love it.
Huh?
I love it. See, that's my style right there. So that gets me going in the morning.
We got some feedback on the broadcast recently that like the music was just pretty lame.
Yeah.
And even the videos, when we do the 100K Club was pretty lame. So we spiced it up today. And in honor of Tim Tarantello, the Metallica, I guess, groupie?
Fan? Yeah, I guess you could say that. Probably borderline close.
Tell them about what you did this summer with your kids.
Yeah, so I think I told you before, but we took all five of us to Germany in May, to Munich, because Metallica actually played a couple shows in Munich, one of them being on my birthday, and they played on a Friday night and on a Sunday night, no repeats. So they did about 38, 40 songs. Oh. No repeat weekend, man. It was crazy, and the seats that we had were absolutely just stunning. We had like our own platform on the production tower, and we were probably no less than maybe 20 yards from the stage.
If you're gonna go big, you might as well just go big.
Yeah, it was cool, but took my wife and the kids, so it was kind of cool as a dad to be able to sit there and see it with your kids and stuff like that.
You're raising a bunch of little metalheads.
Well, they probably tolerate it.
I've seen their pictures. They don't look like metalheads. Your son's got a decent looking haircut.
Yeah.
No, super cool. So in the chat, your classic or your favorite, maybe even an unusual Thanksgiving, as we move up to that. We're doing the broadcast a little early this month, but we're in that holiday season. What do you see out there? Jimmy P. He's putting jalapenos on his candied jalapenos on his ham.
I saw some crazy stuff in there. I don't know what a seafood boil turkey is, but that's interesting.
That's interesting. Never go wrong with deviled eggs. We talked about that.
I can't
not
do
a big fan. I love eggs, but I'm not a big fan of putting. What do they put in them to make? James, tell us what you put in them to make them deviled.
I don't even know what's Merliton. Shrimp and Merliton casserole.
I don't know.
That doesn't sound right.
Somebody's saying a load of hutch. Beans with ground meat, pineapple cheese casserole. Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Venison roast.
There you go.
So my wife and my girls don't eat meat, so my wife makes a tofurkey.
A what?
A tofurkey.
Well, I don't even want to know.
It's a tofu turkey. Look at man,
that's just wrong.
You put gravy on it, it tastes fine. I tried it.
Do you stuff it?
There's stuffing already in it. It's pretty bad.
Some of these things I don't even know what they are. Clear those up a little bit.
I'm on the same
roasted duck snow crab.
I'm liking what the Cookville branch says. Beer. That's beer. That's perfect.
So are they yams or are they sweet potatoes?
I don't know.
Are they yams or sweet potatoes?
I don't know. We said yams earlier, and Stormy says gross. Then she puts on her favorite thing is a squash casserole. Isn't that the same thing?
No, squash is not the same as the yam.
It's close enough. What are you gonna do?
What else? Sweet potato souffle. Ooh, fried turkey.
South Miami's into pizza.
There's that turducken. We knew that was going to show up. We thought that would come from Gordon Mellerin, though. What else? Stuffed artichoke. My father-in-law loves that. Awesome. Good. Keep that going. Hey, just a, I guess a belated happy Veterans Day or celebrating it. Let's recognize our veterans. If you're a veteran, put it in the chat. And most of the time, veterans are really, really humble. But put it in the chat the branch that you came from, so that we can maybe get you some recognition. I didn't serve. I had two nephews that were Marine tankers and spent a bunch of time in Afghanistan. And so to the veterans out there, from my family to yours, thanks for all you did, man. There's a big reason behind it. So throw that in the chat so we can identify who you are. There's Jason Sire. Yeah, there we go. There you go. That's what's more important than these turkey things or these Thanksgiving things.
All of those folks.
Yeah, appreciate your service, obviously.
Sacrifice, the service, everything.
Who do you see out there? We got a crowd today, man.
I keep going right to
Maybe they're here because you're here.
Probably because they all knew it. I keep going to Tessie's face. There's John T. I haven't seen him quite a bit.
A lot of folks in branches again. You know how much I love that.
It's cool to see on this end. There's a lot of times I'm sitting on that end, but on this end, when you can see everybody, a bigger picture of all the branches getting together and stuff.
15 pages of attendees. That's awesome. Crazy good.
They definitely knew I was coming.
Who else you see out there? I saw Hutch earlier too. Mason Reinhardt, I see you out there, man. I see you out there.
Yeah, there's Hutch.
There's Mr. Bushy down there in Dallas. There's Chris Tame. Chris, I don't know if it's Tame or Tame. You put it in the chat, but he's the new RSM sales leader down there. I apologize for screwing that up. Yeah.
I saw Dan. I saw Georgia Dan.
There's Dan Stockslager. Yeah. Chris Watering, look at this. Trey Locke in the house. Who else?
Where's Region 819? They look like they're in a banquet hall.
You see that Doug Morgan, they have the studio background. You see that?
Yeah, Doug, well, he was down here for that CFT training a couple weeks ago, and I saw them guys messing around in the studio when they went on the tour. There's Ray Dumarask up in the Northeast. Hey, Ray. Who else? Jesse Parker. Yeah, always in the house. Looks like you're in Buffalo, Jesse, correct?
Go Bills, baby. Go Bills.
Why did I even bring that up?
Yeah.
Who else? What else is going on?
I can't scroll through that.
You can't scroll through that. John Tessier is like way too close to the camera. Back up, John. All right.
There's Menke. Brian Menke. Hey, Brian.
We're going to talk about him in a little bit.
Oh.
He doesn't know it.
Oh, good.
There's Jason Sager. I spent some time with Jason last week. We may mention what we did last week, too, up there. So sweet. Kevin Kempton. You can get a little closer to the camera. All right, cool. I appreciate you all tuning in. It's just outstanding. We almost had a record of attendees last month for the residential ones, the two that we do. And this one, starting off, this first broadcast looks like it's pretty jam-packed. There's a lot of folks on the line, so we should get going.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, super stuff to share with you. I sent an email out, probably last week sometime, maybe Friday, talking about the October sales performance for the company across the board. Without a doubt, the best overall sales performance we've had as a company in maybe since I've been down here, Tim. I mean, we slayed it. You slayed it. I count myself. I didn't sell a lick, right? Yeah, I didn't sell a lick. I didn't buy anything last month from my pros. But at the end of the day, the numbers were just spectacular. And I'll start by talking about residential PC sales. Residential PC sales, if you remember, and if any of you have been paying attention, had pretty kind of a slow start. We had a good January, then we had kind of a slow start, moving through the year. In the last couple of months, it has really picked up. And when I say picked up, in October, we crushed residential sales. You crushed residential sales to the tune of 17% increase over last year, and just crushed the plan. The plan, I think, was you were 9% ahead of plan, 17% total. The breakdown of that, who's carrying the load, and I'll talk about why I have Tim here. It's intentional that Tim's here, not that we're throwing Victor out, but it's intentional. And here's why. The OC3 last month ran almost a 20% increase in residential PC sales over last year, which is staggering. And they did that, folks, with only a slight, almost 4 to 5% lead increase. So what's going on down there, and what we're going to talk a little bit about today, how they're doing more with less. They're almost really dependent, unlike you folks, are dependent on the inbound phone calls to kind of make the engine go. And they've increased their closure, they've increased their average price. So their performance, again, was 19% above. The field had a great residential PC sales month as well, with sales up 12% year over year. So just an outstanding performance on residential PC. Year to date, the OC3 is 7% ahead of last year, and the field has finally caught up, and you're dead flat to last year in residential PC sales. So we've been trailing. We're over last year, we've tied, we're back to that point where we've caught up to it. Now we've got these couple of months, which are starting out good this month, to kind of catch that up and get ahead of that. To give you an idea, $218 million in sales by the OC3 in the first 10 months of the year. $86 million is a result. Residential PC sales are the result of the field sales, be it the Orkin Pros or you folks out there, bundling some PC with your termite and ancillary sales that you make. Representing 28% of the residential PC sales. So total $304 million, Tim, just
it's
crazy. Just nuts.
Well,
in 10 months.
Anything, because obviously you get out there more so than I do. Anything that you're attributing to why October was as crazy as it was?
The weather, you're not supposed to talk about weather and leads as an Orkin man, but the weather cooperated. Mm-hmm. Your team's closure was up. The field's closure was up. So that's what I would put it in.
Yeah,
again, the leads, we got an increase, like 5-6%, right?
Yep.
That we hadn't had. We're running a lead decrease nationwide year to date for the first 10 months. So we got a bump in the leads, and what y'all did was take advantage of them. I think that's the important thing to get across.
Yeah, and we haven't, at least here in Atlanta, right, we haven't had a lot of rain at all, right? And you had those hurricanes come through in September, and we didn't know which way that was going to go, but we never saw a downtick in October. Like, it didn't stop. The phone just kept going.
Crazy.
So.
And speaking of the hurricanes, just to mention, the folks down all the areas that were affected, the folks in Florida and North Carolina, some crazy damage out there. And you've muscled through, you're working your way through that. So, we think about you all the time. If you didn't get a chance to get in and put some extra money into that Rollins Relief Fund, I would encourage you to do that, please, soon. The mosquito sales keep ticking. I'll just do year-to-date numbers for mosquito sales. OC3 is up 20% year over year in their mosquito sales. $63 million in mosquito sales that are sold out of the call center or the call center agents. The field is down 10% year over year in their mosquito sales year to date through 10 months. So I'd ask you to think about that. Could you bundle some more mosquito? Can you do that? We talked last broadcast about chasing that big bundle and chasing the ancillary stuff that we're just slaying. Think about making sure you're blending in some mosquito and blending in some Centricon and all those kind of things. So keep that going. Year to date, mosquito sales for the company are up 14% and represent $76 million in recurring revenue. So outstanding. Here's the story that just keeps coming and coming and coming. The termite related sales for the company in the month of October, traditional termite, the old drill it and fill it, is up 10%. Bait sales, thank you. Y'all answered the bell. You've been answering the bell the last couple of months. Termite bait sales for the month of October are up 14% year over year. So that's just an outstanding improvement there. We're even ahead now year to date with termite bait sales. We're up 2% over last year, and that's been a lagging number all year long. And the last 2 months we've kind of flipped that a little bit. So I'm looking forward to great bait sales this month and finishing out in December with the bait and get that thing to a respectable 5%, 6%, 7% increase over last year on the bait sales. The ancillary thing is just the one. The ancillary services just keep on coming. 32% increase over last year in October. 28% year to date, $163 million in termite ancillary, Tim, just bonkers.
Crazy.
Total termite sales for the company in the month of October up 22%. Let me say that again, 22% increase year over year. And again, we didn't have a bad October last year, so we're not coming on, where we struggled last year and getting a win that way. We're backing that up with a strong performance in October of 23 with a 22% increase in 24. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. Total termite sales for the company, $335 million. 114 of it is traditional termite, 58 is bait, and 163 is ancillary. So we're about half ancillary, a little bit shy of less than half ancillary, but just, again, crazy numbers. We had a bit of a profit miss as a company, unrelated to really the divisions roll up. We had some overhead stuff and some funky stuff they did with marketing allocations and marketing, accruals or whatever. So we had a slight miss. So Pat wasn't super happy, but he knows that we'll pick some of that back up these next 2 months. We should be in fairly good shape to close out this year, on profit
Closing
plan.
out strong.
And when we're on profit plan, everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy.
We could throw all these sales up. But just overall, again, thank you for the incredible performance. And it's scary. How this engine is cranked up.
Hey, it's fun actually.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good when we're busy, right? Everyone's winning.
Amen. And looking briefly at the numbers through I guess the first 14 days, the residential PC sales are keeping that pace. Yeah. I mean, they're gonna push another 17-18% increase if all holds out. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Fingers.
Got a little holiday coming up, but I think
let me rub your head for a little good luck or something. Yeah. But no, and what that does, that just creates opportunity for us. But in addition to all the great sales numbers, company-wide and region and division-wide, we had this is crazy, 45 of our HSIs in the month of October got paid on $100,000, and 5 of our OC3 agents crossed that $200,000 and started business. Yep. Should we roll the tape and spice up the music a little bit?
Let's see what we got.
Pay attention to this. This is pretty cool. Let them have it, Stormy.
These guys rock.
This guy's the best.
What the heck is the OC3?
Don't worry about it.
Go there, didn't they? Just had to go there. Can't win.
Hopefully that spiced it up a little bit for you. But what the heck is the OC3?
Man, that's
That's
awesome.
why you're here. We'll talk about that in a
awesome.
second. But
To tell everyone what that is.
just hopefully that spiced up your life a little bit. I got to admit that I didn't let my son watch Beavis and Butthead, but I was a closet Beavis and Butthead watcher as a father, and I'm ashamed of that. But I feel that I cleared my heart
I used to
with
take them
y'all.
in small doses, but now I go back and I can watch it now and be like and have a better appreciation of it. I wasn't really into it when they were big, I guess you could say, but now I can watch it. And I laugh at it now. I'm like, I don't understand how I didn't watch this the first time around.
I saw something on YouTube where they did like a Beavis and Butthead reenactment on maybe it's Saturday Night Live. I don't watch that show, but they had two of the actors and it was pretty funny. So there you go. But back to the performances. I mean, check out Rodney Jones.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Rodney Jones, $620,000. I mean, come on, are you kidding me? A couple of those were big fumigations. Rodney's kind of a unique kind of dude out there. There's probably, I don't know how many they have on the West Coast. They got about 10 basically termite salespeople that focus solely on commercial fumigations.
Okay.
So they sell only termite, but it's mostly it's fumigations. And I know a couple of the big ones had to come across my desk that Rodney got done. I think one was for Google, and I don't know what the other one was, some housing complex that Rodney got. So that happens a lot, and that obviously this is the second time this year that he's hit the list and led the list. So first place gets $500 Amazon gift card, and those will go out this weekend. And everybody else on that list gets $100. Anybody jump off the page for you?
Well, you know, when we were going through this earlier, I was looking at all of the family tree of the Corpus.
The Corpus, brother. Yeah.
The Corpus family, and you were explaining that one to me. So
yeah,
good to see the three of them on there again.
I mean, think about that. You got Hassan, who's leading the way for the company, year to date. A couple months left in for President's Club. You got Ray Bryan, who's going to be there, and then they convinced their dad, Montefascio, to come on board.
That's pretty
and
funny.
I think this is his third month selling 100,000, and Marlon Dang's on the list too, and he's like their cousin. So it's a family affair up there in that Maryland, Northern Virginia area where they're just slaying it.
I feel sorry for everyone that's going to be at Thanksgiving with them because we'll be talking a lot of Orkin, I would think. Huh?
maybe they don't.
It's true. Maybe they're all talked out by that. Any newbies on there?
There are some newbies. I've got Dylan. I'm going to screw these names up, so apologize. Dylan Almazan, Stephen Saratella. I think he's been there once before. Jonathan Velasquez out of Fort Myers. I think that's his first trip. Marshall Jackson out of Champaign, Illinois, is there for the first time. Keegan Rigg, I believe, out of Davenport is maybe a first time attendee, and then again a whole bunch of folks that have been there quite frequently. I would point out that two folks out of Brighton. I was up in Brighton with Jason Sager last week. He and I and Hubbard visited the branch, and while Brandon wasn't there, Brian was there, and we sat with those guys a little bit. Two of those guys are there, Brian and Brandon. We had two out of South Bend. This is not the first time. I think it's the third, maybe potentially fourth time that South Bend has doubled up with these two guys with Josh Rankert and Brandon Brown. Of note, there are four folks on the list from the Indiana region, which is kind of stands out as well. And then not to be overlooked, we had two folks out of the Roanoke, Virginia branch, and if you know where Roanoke, it's about that big, right?
Yeah.
We had Joey Dolinger and we had Michael Lewandowski from that list. So just really, really solid performances. Anything that jumps out there?
How long have you been doing this now? How many broadcasts have you done? Last 2 years?
Yeah, we're over 2 years. It's about 2.5 years, I think.
Has Jason Sayer never been on the list before?
I'm not going to answer that because I like Jason Sayer.
I love it.
He might have missed once.
I love it.
He might have
Really?
missed once.
In 2 years? Oh,
Something
man.
like that.
I thought he was a guy that made it all the way through.
I think there's a couple of them on here. I think Hassan's made it every time since he's been since he got his legs under him here as the company, and just outstanding. But a shout out
That's
to
a good mix. Huh? Good mix of folks.
A shout out to my man Brandon Pesky. Brandon Pesky and I were salespeople together in Akron, Ohio, and this is his first trip. He's now in the newly opened Cleveland East branch. So Brandon, shout out, brother. Good to see you there. Anybody else? How about your team? Talk about your team, because Victor and I talk about it. But we don't know him nearly as well as you do.
Yeah, so Shannon has only been with us, I think, since the second quarter of this year, man. She just kind of picked up on
4th month in a row, right?
Yeah, picked up on the process that the team kind of trains and coaches on, and just has taken it to the next level. I mean, she's been taken off. Gary Frano's always consistently there, and he's in the running for President's Club again. Chanel's been on there a couple months, and Michael and Sandra, I'm not real familiar. Like, when we were going over this yesterday, I hit Jeff up and I was just like, give me some background there, but he didn't get back to me.
Jeff, come on, man. He's the boss.
But one thing I've noticed is Jeff's very good with getting daily messages out, right? He has his team and his managers and soups. He kind of spreads the love a little bit, and they kind of do a recap every single day, sending out who did what, how the performance was yesterday, what can we concentrate on today, what do we focus on, what are we going to drive today, and it's gotten there's so many performers that are at a higher level now using the process that it's really making it like a pretty interesting competition, I guess you could say, amongst the agents, because we're getting different names. You can see there's different names on here every month.
Absolutely.
So people are grasping it and taking off, and like I said, they're just taking advantage of what's coming at them.
No, just outstanding work out there. And again, to all the folks, 45 HSIs. I think I tried to do a little history last night as I was sitting there getting ready for the broadcast. I think 4 years ago, we didn't have 45 get paid on $100,000 all year, and now we're throwing that up each month. So the opportunity is out there.
Yeah.
100,000. We talk about the math all the time, times 14%. No matter how you slice it, you're making $15,000 a month, and some of these folks do this pretty consistently.
And it's pretty nice coming into the holiday season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And seeing that it doesn't seem to be slowing down in November. I mean, it's you know what? I always feel like. And I tell my team this too. I feel like I win when I know that they're making money and they're having fun doing it.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's how we all win. I think as managers, as leaders, to really see that the employees are taking advantage and making a good living.
As my friend
that's why it's awesome to be here.
As my friend Cliff Brown talks about all the time, you got a chance to make life-changing money here.
Yeah.
You just got to follow the process. So
very true.
So again, why is Tim here? It's intentional. He's not filling any gaps. He's not pinch hitting for Victor. I've been wanting for a long time to bring him in here to talk about what happens in his shop. So we're just going to give you a quick overview of what happens in his shop. We're going to go down 2 paths. We're going to go down the residential pest control sale path, and then we're going to go down the termite lead path and just give an overview of how that works and then how that impacts you as HSIs in the field and what you can do to take advantage of that. So first up, walk me through. I call in and I got ants. I call into your shop and I get one of your superstar agents.
Yep. So 5-step process, right? Jeff Steele's my sales director. For those who don't know, he's been here since 2021, I believe, right? So going on 3+ years now. 5-step process. He gave the sales process an identity. That was something that was lacking when I first took over a few years back. And Jeff came in and said, we got to give this thing an identity. So what they do is it's real easy. It's an introduction. They do their discovery, right, on the customer. Let them know that they called the right place. We got your back. We're going to solve your issues for you. Tailor the presentation to the need of whatever the customer's talking about. Overcome the objections, because we all know that that's coming, and then boom, close, right? That's it. That's the process that every day Jeff's team, his leadership team, that's what they're focused on. They're live listening. They're driving the agents when they're coaching them. Where in the process are things falling through? And we've got all these tools that are really cool to kind of be able to show us where they might be getting hung up. A lot of it's in the overcoming objections.
Sure.
Right? I think that's, for any salesperson, that's where I find the majority of it. And then, some of it, with the discovery, maybe we're not asking enough questions sometimes. So sometimes what we've seen is that if any of the piece of the process falls, then that's where it's easy to identify where we need to coach the agent a little bit better.
And I know you guys spend a lot of time, talking about empathy. If you think about the whole scenario, somebody calls in, they've got a problem now. Oh, yeah. They want immediate results. Oh, yeah. And they want somebody there, right? I mean, so you're that bridge to getting them there. But I think the one thing that I want you to share is how long. This is kind of shocking. How long does it typically? What's the ideal time frame on a call to get $800 to $1,200 from a customer over the phone?
We're running right about 9 minutes right now, 9 minutes plus, I'd say, to be able to kind of to help that customer out, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny when you say that. We got customers that are screaming on the phone, people that are crying because they're not used to this stuff, right? Maybe on the commercial side, we know that it's a little bit more standard, but on the residential side, like you said, it's a problem and it's scary for some folks, or there's allergies, and, bees, all that type of stuff that can cause some issues. So we got 9 minutes though to convince them that they've called the right company, we've got the right solution, we got your back, and we're going to take care of everything for you.
Guys work a lot with a little bit of empathy, kind
All
of
of it.
relieving the pressure.
Yeah.
All those pieces are in there, and it all happens in 8 to 9 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm always intrigued by that because in my mind, that sale, when it's flipped over to the field to go start, to send our pros out there, I use the word fragile all the time.
It is.
The fragility of that sale, think about it, 8 to 9 minutes on a perfect call to spend $800 to $1,200, give a credit card. Think about how fragile that is when we flip it over to the field to have the pro go out and start it. So, we don't start all of them. I think our start rate's pushing, 77% or 70%.
Yeah, for October, I think it was close.
And that was another thing that happened last month. We had a great start
4
month.
points, 4 points better than last year.
Yeah. But I guess what does it mean to you? Here's what it means to you. Typically, our folks do a really good job of showing up at the starts, doing a quality assurance, doing a full home inspection, whatever approach you're using to do these, to do these follow-ups to chase these new pest control customers. How many new pest control customers started in the company in October?
31,000.
31,000 new customers were started in October. There's 1,000 HSIs in our company, 1,000 HSIs. So my silly Youngstown math says that's 31 appointments potentially for our home sales inspectors to go chase. How many are you going to sell year to date? For the year?
I'm pace to do 400,000.
So you're on pace to do 400 inspections.
Yeah.
I can't even do the math on that for 1,000, but that's 400 places to go for every HSI. That's not the same in every market. There's some that get more, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But I think it's important to understand that when you're going out there, sometimes I hear folks there's preferences on when to go. So I'd ask you to put in the chat. Do you prefer to go before the pro gets there? Because I know that happens sometimes. Do you prefer to be there when the start's being done by the pro, or do you prefer to show up a few days later? So just put in the chat your preference and what works. We've done this a few times, and it's amazing the mixed bag that you get. Whatever the process is, whatever your favorite is, whatever you end up doing, I want you to be focused on one thing, two things really, I guess. First, that's sales fragile. We would like them to kind of beef that up, right?
Yeah.
You're the first or second porking person that customer has seen.
Yeah.
So you got to look the part. But what else would you kind of convince them to kind of resell the service, right?
Yeah, resell the service because think about they've only talked to someone on my team for 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So the very next person they're most likely going to see is the pro.
Yeah.
Right. And I always say my messaging when I always talk to the folks in the field and the branch managers and region managers is that sale really gets closed at the door.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you ask me, I believe that the TSIs when it comes up and is kind of like that QA, that reassurance, kind of like that anchor that brings it home, right, and pulls it all together and says, is there anything that didn't come up to your expectations today? Is there anything that we could have done differently? Is there anything I can help you with? Let me go do an inspection in your home. So carry it a little bit further and reassure them that you're comforting them, that they knew that they made the right decision.
Absolutely.
It's worth the spend, the $800 to $1,200, whatever it might be. Re-explain the services, right, and what the expectation, what they could expect moving forward, and then we have that whole portfolio of offerings, right? You just went through the numbers right there.
Yeah.
And think about the ancillary sales. I remember there's so much now that the residential side of the equation can offer these homeowners. So it's really just kind of going 360 with it.
Yeah, and the other thing I would ask you is to kind of be, I guess, respectful of the sale that the agent made. Don't blow that thing up, and don't disparage what happened. Whatever happened before. We want to keep that customer as a pest control customer, because at the end of the day, what Wall Street measures us on is recurring revenue, not one-time ancillary services. So you want to make sure you keep that in place so that if you don't sell that ancillary bundle you're going to pitch them that day, or all those other service offerings you can, that they're still a customer and you can circle back to them a year or 2 years from now and close that bundle up. So be respectful of the sale that you got. Understand that it's fragile. That it's very fragile. We got to work through it. I do want to mention a couple of things, Tim, that I think make a ton of sense in what's been going on, and I'm going to focus, quite frankly, you mentioned Brian Menke on the call earlier. I'm going to focus on what they're doing and what they've been doing in Indiana. They've got different areas of how they do this. I saw it I guess maybe 2 years ago, I went up to Indiana and spent some time with Gary Hubbard, and we palled around with Brian Menke and visited a bunch of the branches. And at that time, they had just launched a program to do the Welcome to Orkin calls. Now, now it's kind of morphed its way into different roles now, but what happens up there, and I would encourage any of the RSMs that are on the call to reach out to Brian, sorry Brian for blowing your phone up, on how that program works. But what they do is they have folks setting the appointments for the inspectors. And I was with Jason Sager, and we were doing the same thing up in Brighton last week. And I actually listened to one of the CSSs in the office take an inbound call, extra service call for mice, and schedule an appointment to send a home sales inspector out right then, that day. Brian Roloff went out that day, and I believe he closed it with rack that day.
That's
So
awesome.
think about, if you've not reached out to Brian, give you an idea, in the state of Indiana, that program, Indiana region, represented $1.5 million in sales in the month of October, and it's over $14 million year to date. So think about how you're getting there, how you're setting these appointments. Get with Brian if you're not doing that. But again, you got to go visit these customers. I mean, it's like it's an unending, kind of funnel of customers that come in.
It's definitely a pipeline.
Just pouring. I just want to make sure I don't miss any of the notes here. But maybe that's why they had 400K producers in the state of Indiana last month. Might contribute something.
I think someone's tapping into that. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah,
right?
Hub told me 4.5. Well, he shares. They track the data. They do a really good job of that. $4.5 million of that record-breaking October that was thrown up by the Midwest Division was based on one of these programs. Again, there's some hybrid actions somewhere else, but it's basically somebody setting appointments for the inspector so that they can get out in front of customers and stay in front of them. And Jason Sager did a great job explaining it to those guys last week. So
it's awesome.
So just outstanding. Path number 2, that's really important to these folks, as well as the new customers. When you think about having 31,000 new customers that came in last month, man, that's happy hunting, right? And the 400,000 that are going to come over the year. But let's talk about the path that a termite lead takes.
Yep.
So if I call into the office, or if I call one of the 800 numbers or whatever, and I end up with one of your agents, and I tell you I got termites, walk them slowly through what happens in your shop.
So we just, we get the customer's info, pull it up, and as long as the TSI's, the sales inspector's information is accurate in RFS, we can go ahead and schedule it right then and there on the spot for that inspector. That's what we try to do. And like I said, it's all dependent on their schedules showing in the system. It'll give us the top 3 time frames. We ask customer which one fits yours best. But that's only as good as however it's set up on the branch end.
Let's talk about that, because we're not doing great with that, right? There are some areas of the country where the RFS is tight as a button, and there are some that they are not. Think about that customer calling into Tim's shop. They got termites. The whole goal that we want to try to accomplish is we want them to hang that phone up knowing that the Orkin Pro is coming to save the day, right? We don't want them picking up and calling somebody else, wondering what's going on because they don't have an appointment. So if it flows right and you're in RFS and you keep your schedule up, and somebody on Tim's team can pick a slot, that customer hangs up and say, okay, Sharon, I got the Orkin guy coming. He's going to be here tomorrow between 12 and 2. Boom, case closed, close the phone book, and not the phone book, close your phone and move on. The importance of getting that done is just trumped by the fact that you want to put them at ease again. It's that same very, I guess, high intensity emotion that's going on when they have termites, right? So we want them to shut that thing down.
Probably more of an emotional sale, right? Because that's eating away at your one of your biggest expenses that you have is your home.
Absolutely. So tell me what happens if I don't keep my RFS schedule up to date. What happens?
Well, then obviously we'll send it over as a branch to schedule. Right?
So what happens is we have the customer on the phone right now.
Yeah.
We're talking to them. Emotions are high. We're talking to them. They want to schedule an appointment. We have the capability if we do things right on our end, but if we don't have things right on our end, RFS isn't up to date, they have to tell the customer, we will send this to the branch and they will call to schedule. So the customer hangs up, and it could take some time for us to call them back. Oftentimes you hear that when we call them back, we never connect with them. So we got them on the phone right now. Think about fixing your schedule so that they can schedule it there, put it to bed. Now, I want to talk about triage in the lead because I think that makes sense too. Tim's team, honestly, and quite frankly, he would be the first one to admit it, other than probably 25 folks that have spent an incredible amount of time in the field working as TSIs and HSIs and made that transition to his team or managers, we've got some folks that really don't handle termites. And remember, they're talking to them. Average termite scheduling calls probably less than the 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah, it's
right.
like
3 or 4.
3
right?
or 4. Yep.
So for 3 or 4 minutes, they're talking to them. They're not the experts. They don't know all the questions that you want to ask. So I would say that when something hits your phone, you got a termite lead coming in, immediately drop everything, triage that lead. Hey, Mr. Matt Donnelly, because this is his line. This is Ed over at Orkin. I see we're scheduled tomorrow between 12 and 2. What are you having a problem with? Cut right to the chase. So you can flush out the folks that are just looking for inspections. You can take them off the ledge. If they're completely flipped out, like those customers you say that are crying, we can change our schedules and get there quickly, or walk them down from the ledge if you can't get there right away. But it's important that when a termite lead or any lead hits your phone, that you immediately drop everything and call that customer and just get engaged with them right away. Because again, it's been a 3-minute call with somebody in the call center, or it's been a 3-minute call with somebody in the call center that couldn't schedule it because we didn't keep up our end of the bargain on the scheduling. We didn't schedule it. So now it gets flipped to the branch, and now the branch sends it to you via text or however they're getting them to you, and now you're talking to that customer. So get engaged immediately on your inbound leads. Make any sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, keeping the schedules up would be ideal, right? I mean, then that way, they're getting their schedule. I mean, because, we don't have not as good numbers as we could have, right? With the scheduling, being able to schedule for that. And we find that, once it comes over as a branch of schedule, you probably got about 50% chance of getting that person back on the phone when we had them right then and there.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different ways that customers want to be communicated with. So just
think about it.
Moving forward.
If you can't schedule it, they've got to send it to the branch. The branch has to get a hold of you. Then you got to try to catch the customer.
And how many people have they called in between? Possibly.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. All right. So that's kind of a little bit of an insight into what's going on at the OC3. Again, I would try to impress upon you the number of opportunities that are available. The program that Brian and Hub and those guys are working with in the Midwest, they don't schedule whole home inspections or quality assurance inspections on the roach leads or the roach sales, right? They're kind of cherry picking that. They're not walking it. If they have to, they'll do that. But for the most part, they're looking for the ants. They're looking for the rodents. They're looking for those kind of sales that they can uncover more opportunity. I see Brian just nodding his head. I mean, I can't impress upon you enough how well that program is working there. And to Brian and Hub's credit, the effort that they and their managers and their CSSs and their folks put into it.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah.
I mean, with the rodent stuff, I'd be hunting those babies down. Every day I'd be asking, did we get any rodent sales?
Oh, there's roll-off in there. Yes, sir. I racked that.
Yeah,
I actually listened to the gal set it on the phone when they called in for an extra service. And Brian Roloff pops in there. He racked it with renewals for that sale. Because quite frankly, we tore him up. Hub and I tore him up, and Sager tore him up because his rack percentage just stunk. And this guy's a great salesman, and he wasn't selling renewals for a whole bunch of different reasons. So he went out that day. I think he sold like 20 grand just to rub our nose in it. He racked them all, and he got advanced renewals.
Hey, he rose to the challenge.
And again, some of them off that program. So. Again, we see some things before, during, and after. Really, anytime's a good time to go.
Mixed bag.
Just
but
get
at least
to
they're
all
going.
of them.
Yeah.
Get to all of them. Get to all of them. What else? Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
I appreciate you coming in. I think you guys
you having me.
You guys are the lifeblood of this ancillary service business that we're doing. The new customers that you generate. I don't want to say fresh meat, but these new opportunities that come in every month, based on what your team does when they convert that inbound lead.
Yep.
$800 to $1,200. These folks, I think the average job price in Indiana is pushing $5,000. So not only is it $800 to $1,200, just think if you handle that right, you could turn that into $5,000. I don't know what Brian's sale was.
The way I look at it though is I know that Pat's got this goal of getting back to 400,000 TC customers, right?
Yeah.
And if we're on track to sell 400,000 pest control units this year,
amen.
That's 400,000 places to go.
Amen.
Right? We just got to focus on that and just make that part of the routine. But it sounds like the guys are doing a good job of it.
No
and these
doubt.
girls.
As I feared, you and I are behind schedule.
Are we really that bad? No one's sleeping.
I
think that they're enjoying this.
Two of us got together on this. It could get a little chatty. But again, hopefully it's great content to give you a little deeper understanding. And certainly thank those folks. Some housekeeping and get you out of here. 40 in my note last night. I said 48 days left on that President's Club run with some really, really close races. The top 12 HSIs earned that Chairman's Club plaque. And man, it's going to be neck and neck all the way down to the end. And just a reminder, that's started business, not sold. You got to get it started. It's got to be booked. It's got to be paid for or racked. mentioned last week the visit up into Brighton and talking, and frankly, Brian, I'm going to beat you up again. Talking about a superstar sales performer, selling $700,000-800,000 with the rack closure. Really, he's cheating himself out of money. So I would ask you all to work on your rack close. And it's funny how the world comes together. I was looking at the Illinois GroupMe yesterday, and Cliff Brown has this thing for like every quarter he teases his folks to post their rack close on GroupMe. And I saw the #1 rack salesman in the company post his. I saw rookies posting theirs, and they just spin it for practice and practice. And they're all a little bit different, but they all have kind of the same concept. But just to give you an idea, when the rack report came out yesterday, Illinois' region-wide rack percentage, rack close percent, is 77.3. 8 out of 10 contracts,
That's
ancillary
crazy.
termite contracts,
That's awesome.
are being racked in Illinois. And I truly believe it's because of the intentional practice that they do with this all the time. They just don't let it go. One more cool thing, I'm a pest control customer, and I got an email yesterday morning that said, I printed it, I can bundle up and save. Every one of our pest control customers that don't have leaf stopper?
Jeez.
Or Orkin.
Say that again.
How about that? I'm going to lose my termite sales card. That don't have leaf stopper or Orkin received an email yesterday offering them 15% off, and just use the bundle code 15. So if you're locked in at 10% and your region rate card, just have that customer mention that bundle 15. You can take it down to 15. And again, every time the marketing team sends out these emails, we get word, kind of just trickles back slowly, that, hey, the customer called in. So you may have customers that call in and ask for these inspections. Tim will get them. They come into his office, but they may even just call the branch, or they even mention it to you. So as you're out traveling about doing your quality assurance or your whole home inspections, make sure you mention bundle 15, rack it, and you'll pick up your closure.
I should do that.
You should do what?
I should get.
You already bought everything, didn't you?
Yeah. I got like 40 different bills.
And you rack some of it, which is a good thing.
None of it's bundled.
All right, let's get out of here. I appreciate you coming. I hopefully it meant something to all of you. I thought it was a good idea to give you some insight into that. Again, keep slaying it, crushing the year, and off to a good start in October or in November. Let's close this baby out.
Finish strong.
Appreciate everything
Keep
you
it
do.
up.
Thank you.